very much for coming. We are all aware and very supportive of your efforts to defend our conservative values and the laws of our state. With less than 2 weeks left until Election Day, we are very honored that you've taken the time to come speak with us. Hopkins and Delta counties strongly support early voting, and we strongly support you. Let's welcome our Attorney General.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for the warm welcome. More importantly, thank you for supporting the next state representative from Hopkins County, Speaking of Hopkins County, it's great to be out of the People's Republic of Austin into an area like Hopkins County that believes in strong conservative values. It's also great to see so many patriots who are going to participate in the process of firing Nancy Pelosi. Retiring Harry Reid. And sending a message to Barack Obama that we're going to take back our country on November the 2nd. You know, we face challenges like we have never faced before. But you know what? We're Texans, and we can handle challenges. It's a challenge that put me in the wheelchair I'm in today. Some of you have seen my commercial. You know what happened. Some of you haven't, I'll tell you. What happened to me is that when I was a young man, I went out one day for a jog, and while I was out jogging, a big 80-foot oak tree fell on me. It hit me in the back. It crushed my vertebrae and my spinal cord, leaving me immediately paralyzed, needing to use the wheelchair that I'm in now. And you're shaking your head wondering, man, how slow was that guy jogging and get hit by a falling tree? But you know what? It's part of the Texas and American spirit to respond to those challenges, and we need to muster within ourselves that response now, because we as a people are challenged like never before. And that challenge, first and foremost, comes in the name of Barack Obama and the liberal administration in Washington, D.C. That's why we are fighting for you against those challenges. You know, it's amazing what's happened with regard to Obamacare. Obamacare does something that has never been done before in the history of this country. For the first time in United States history, Congress passed a law that forces you and all of your fellow Texans and fellow Americans to go out and purchase something. Think about this. Congress is making you buy something, making you buy health care insurance. And it gets worse, because if you think you have a better idea of how to spend your hard-earned money than the federal government, and you don't buy that insurance, you're going to be imposed a penalty enforced by the IRS. Well, if you think that sounds un-American, you're right. It is. And it violates the Constitution, and as your Attorney General, I aim to put a stop to it. It was amazing when you saw the President signing that piece of legislation into law, and you saw the press conference of the Democrats saying, listen, the fight about health care is over, and it's time for everyone just to move on. Well, let me be clear. When it comes to Obamacare, when it comes to socializing 1/6 of our economy, when it comes to bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. dictating doctor's orders in the state of Texas, the fight is not over. We're not moving on. We've only begun to fight against these federal government programs. That's why 1 hour after Barack Obama signed Obamacare I joined with 12 other states filing a lawsuit against Obamacare, sending a message to Washington, D.C., don't mess with Texas. I hope you're having the opportunity to keep up with the evolution of this lawsuit, because there's been a revelation take place as this lawsuit has progressed. A revelation of what Washington, D.C. is all about and why Americans want a change of command in Washington, D.C. Go back in time to when Obamacare was passed, and you can watch on Fox or whatever your favorite TV station is, and you'll see they show film clips of Barack Obama himself swearing Obamacare is not a tax. And in fact, the senators, when they got the bill from the House, they changed the wording to make sure that they eliminated any reference of Obamacare being a tax. And then when we filed our lawsuit, they scoffed at us. Nancy Pelosi was even questioned about it, and she just brushed off whether or not any state attorneys general could have any hope of winning this lawsuit. Well, now that we're in court, now that they've seen the strength of our lawsuit, now that we've had federal judges begin to rule on it, they have realized, wait a second, there is real strength to our lawsuit. It looks like we're going to win. So what did the federal government lawyers do? They changed the argument. You know what they're arguing in court now? They're arguing that it's a tax. Because they know they have authority under the tax and spend clause that would allow them to pass this. But they purposefully chose not to be a tax and spend clause, but under the Commerce Clause trying to make you buy something. And you know what? In our case, just last week, the federal judge came out with his initial ruling on it. He spent 65 pages talking about this decision. A federal judge, you know what he said about the Obama administration lawyers? He said their argument was a, quote, Alice in Wonderland type argument that turns everything on its head. We can't stand for that in this country. We can't stand federal government lawyers making Alice in Wonderland type arguments, and we can't stand the federal government telling you what to do with your money, making you go out and buy something. My friends, it is time for change, and change must come on November the 2nd. It's amazing to listen to Barack Obama talk about the number of jobs that he has saved or created. Talk about Alice in Wonderland, that is some fantasy number, because what he really should be talking about, if he were honest, is talking about the jobs that he's killed or threatened. And those are jobs here in Texas. One way, and I got to tell you, I've talked to businessmen and women of large companies and very small businesses. One reason why they are refusing to hire is because of the uncertainty about Obamacare. Another reason why they're refusing to hire is because of uncertainty about other regulations coming out of Washington, D.C. But let me tell you something else. There's another job killer coming to Texas more than any other state. And it's the job killer known as the EPA. The EPA is trying to achieve by bureaucratic regulation what even the Democrats in Congress are against. Now get this. This is a fact. Democrat leaders in the United States Senate and the United States House are trying to tell the EPA doesn't have the authority to regulate greenhouse gases. But the EPA is ignoring even the Democrats on top of the Republicans. And if the EPA continues its efforts to regulate greenhouse gases, that is a job killer for not only industries in the state of Texas, but also for farmers and ranchers and schools and people who employ others right here in Hopkins County. And that's why I have five lawsuits against the EPA, telling them to get out of Texas. I've got two things to tell the EPA when it comes to Texas. One is to get out, and the other is to stay out.